Every time I start this, I swear, every single time, it actually fires up KoTOR 2 instead of KoTOR 1 because for some reason, and I don't even understand this, KoTOR 1 is actually lower on the list than KoTOR 2. So my mind automatically tracks to the top Star Wars game that's installed on the list and hits play, which is KoTOR 2, as we've already discussed. Remember, guys, dong. Where was I? I guess we're doing the main quest now. Get ready for dong. Guys, we might actually get out of Taris today. Maybe. Because it is the dawn of the second day. Wait, we're going down, aren't we? Shoot, I don't remember. Hang on. In the cantina. I don't remember which cantina he's in. Oh, wow, raid. That is my tank, so... Dong. Whoops, I went the wrong way. Damn, we got one more dong. Dong. Screw the Pazant quest. Oh, hey, Bastila wants to talk to me. Hey, Bastila.
How can I help?
You can tell me everything. And also, listen, I'd just like to say that the future depends on us.
I would like to know what happened after you crashed on Taris. I'm curious as to what you and Karth were doing before we all joined forces. I managed to free myself, as I recall. In fact, if I hadn't been there, Brejik and his thugs might have killed you in that fight. It's probably more accurate to say that I rescued you. I'll admit that I probably wouldn't have been able to free myself if not for the brawl after the swoop race. I guess I should thank you for that, at least. Actually, your presence at the swoop track is what I'm curious about. It couldn't have been an easy task to find me there, yet somehow you managed. You also avoided detection by the Sith, discovered I was a Vulca prisoner, gained sponsorship for the race, and became the Taris swoop champion. That's quite a resume. Your modesty is admirable. But though others helped, you were the catalyst for these events. When you were chosen to join this mission, I doubt any of us expected this much from you. A Jedi could have done such things, of course, but only by drawing heavily upon the Force.
You hear that, guys? The only way you can accomplish things is by drawing heavily on the Force. It's the only way. There's no way someone who simply has talent or intellect or skill or charisma could have accomplished any of those things. Only the Force allows you to truly... I think I'm kind of rehashing the material I mentioned last night, but it's worth rehashing because she's just going to bash this out over and over and over. One other thing I like, though, but just remind me to talk about the standard RPG setup, because we'll be talking about that in a minute. Speaking of which, I think you're underestimating us non-Jedi.
Perhaps, but the Force works through all of us to some degree or another. There are some individuals outside the Jedi Order that we consider Force-sensitive. It's obvious to me that the Force has been working through you.
There's no other explanation for your great success.
Though I'm not certain what to make of this discovery. Perhaps if you weren't... Well, if you were younger, the Jedi might take you for training. But as it is...
So what are you trying to say, Bastila?
I'm sorry. I've overstepped my authority. I'm speaking of things that are best left to the Jedi Council. For now, let's just accept the fact that you're gifted. Hopefully, between your abilities, my Jedi training, and the skills of our companions, we can find a way off this planet.
Now, a couple things to talk about super quick here. Point 1. Why is Bastila so interested in encouraging us to expand our Force abilities? Now, I actually have a theory about this. But that is the question. She knows we're Revan. I've talked about this before. Why is it she wants us to start expanding into the Force again? Now, there's several answers you could give this. In fact, the most blatant and obvious answer is, well, because the light side is good, and therefore she wants you to be light side to reaffirm the fact that she is good. Very blatant and obvious, right? I think there's something else here, though. I think her own abilities with the Force have been altered by the connection between her and Revan. I think that while she certainly had her battle meditation prior to the fight with Revan, she was actually pretty weak in the Force, all things considered. And she is still kind of weak in the Force, all things considered, if you consider it. I mean, there's a reason we didn't even want Bastila in the Star Wars tournament, right? However, one thing that's kind of interesting, why is it that the moment you show up, that's when she breaks out? Now, you could say, well, it's because that's when she had the distraction, but I actually think there's another little tidbit to that. I think proximity to Revan augmented her ability to use the Force thanks to her connection through him. And I think, after giving some time to think on it, she realized that. She realized that she literally felt stronger through her connection to Revan and his ability to use the Force, and blah, 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 blah. So I think this is actually a completely selfish reason. I think she actually wants him to regain his balance to the Force, possibly for her own self-aggrandizement in terms of the pride thing I mentioned earlier, but more importantly, so she can grow stronger in the Force. She is special, after all. If anyone deserves to be stronger in the Force, it's her. My point, Titans, is that he is much stronger in the Force than she is. By the way, I want to point out that there's loot on the ground that I'm abandoning. See ya! Also,
yes.
we are going to go ahead and level her here. Yeah, that's pretty much where I'm going with that, Fearsome. That's sure. Don't care. Powers. I can't take Cure. Oh, it requires level 6. What else we got? Force Aura. Hang on, I want all 3 of these, basically. So I'll do that. Yeah, Omni, go ahead. Hit me with them. Oh, hang on. No, Frell, why do I have to level the moment I hit level? That actually irritates me. That's irritated me before today. Okay. Let's level him up while we're at it. Don't care. Yeah, that's pretty much, yeah, sure. you get my mindset. Hey, Untrustful, by the way. Okay, I want you to have... this, I guess.
Yes?
Dong. Knight, Time Mage, Beastmaster, Chemist. You are ridiculously overpowered, Omni. You're gonna crush everything in front of you.
I saw you in the swoop race. Very impressive. You seem like you know how to get results. That's just the kind of person I'm looking for.
Now, quick theory I've heard before about Canderas. I don't agree with this theory, but I like to share theories that aren't mine, even if I don't agree with them. Some people have theorized that Canderas recognizes Revan, and that this whole setup to get in with him and then get off the planet together was literally just a thing to get in with Revan. It could make sense. It could actually make a degree of sense. Really, Lurker? I didn't know that. See you around, Samurai. Have a good one. It could make sense. It could be because, you know, everything he does could make sense if, and it all depends on if he actually does recognize Revan, which I don't buy for a second. Nothing in his attitude or dialogue or anything anywhere in 2 games indicates that he had any indication that this was Revan prior to the reveal. So I personally think that the more likely theory is that he sees in Revan someone who is a big fish in a small pond, like he is, right? In other words, Canderas sees in you potential. He sees in you someone who might actually be able to accomplish something. And this is where I get into the standard RPG mechanic that I mentioned earlier. The idea here being that in a standard RPG, what usually happens is you're the PC, therefore you're basically just better than everyone else around you by default, because you're the player character, right? I think we've all accepted that for forever. However, I don't know off the top of my head, Omni. You're going to have to consult GameFAQs for the details. I can't just tell you, capture these enemies and use these items, Omni. There's way too much complexity to those classes, but they are very overpowered. The idea here being that in an RPG, you know, you're a PC, so you're better than everyone else. So you're crawling along, being... getting spam on your phone. And so you accomplish something, and it's a small-time thing, whatever you do. You save a village. You take out a small group of goblins. You successfully rescue this governor or whatever. Whatever you're doing, it's something small. But you do it, and you just crush it, right? You just do it extremely well and extremely skilled, and what happens is someone higher up says, hey, and notices you, and then gives you a chance to do something even higher up, and then that gets you noticed, and you get to higher up, until it reaches the point where in most story progressions, you end up basically giving your own missions. Neverwinter Nights 2 is actually a classic example of this. You end up just as some kid in a village who happens to be good in a fight, who then ends up, saving the town from the... I don't want to spoil too much Neverwinter Nights, but basically you scale up and scale up until you have the interest of the Lord of Neverwinter himself, and then you basically go past him and start making your own quest as you start getting to the real threat, right? That's pretty much how this is going, except there's 2 twists to KoTOR 1. The first and most obvious twist is, da-da-da-da-da, by the way... The second twist is... the game bothers to explain why the player character is so special. Now, I kind of agree with Baronessa. I like... Wind Waker is probably my personal favorite example. The Link in Wind Waker had absolutely nothing going for him. He was not part of the legendary... he was not part of the line of heroes from Link, because there was no line. Link was removed from that timeline, remember? So there is no line of heroes. There is no legendary power. He didn't even have the Triforce when he started. He was literally just a kid. And he worked his way up and managed those things completely on his own. Furion in Final Fantasy II is another example of a kind of character who had nothing going for him and just made it work by sheer bloody-minded persistence, right? However, I do also like it when a game bothers to go out of its way and say, by the way, here's why you're so much better than everyone else around you. Final Fantasy III is a good example of that. Final Fantasy V is a good example of that. Twilight Princess is a good example of that. And this one's a good example of that. You are so much better than everyone else around you. And it bothers to explain that because you were this amazing guy who nobody could shut up about previous to now, right? And again, as I mentioned earlier, because Revan was so skilled, not necessarily powerful, but skilled, it explains why you could be so good at so many different things. Make sense? So I like how they kind of, it's not really putting it on its head, it's not really subverting expectations, it's just a little bit of a tilt to the standard RPG tropes here, which is something BioWare's actually pretty good at. Hey, Lorerun. What's up?
My name's Canderas Ordo.
By the way, this is the third time I've gotten that.
The exchange. The hours aren't great, but they promised me a fortune to work for them. And I have nothing better to do. Mandalorian mercs like me are in high demand. But lately, Davik hasn't been paying me what he promised. I don't like getting cheated. So I figure it's time for me to break the Sith quarantine and get off this backwater planet.
So, he talks about the money, but as we know from Canderas' character arc, the money is literally an excuse to him. I've often felt that Cad Bane over in the Clone Wars era is actually in the same mentality. He constantly talks about, I want the money, and yet he'll do stupid, simple, non-interesting, non-skilled jobs just for the money. I don't want to analyze his character here, but suffice to say for Canderas here, there is no denying that he does not actually really care about the money. That's not what he's after. The money is the excuse to keep going because he doesn't really have any other reason to keep going. As I said before, Canderas is completely a literal has-been who has resigned himself to that. Remember, this is a man, this was pointed out in chat yesterday, this is a man who rode battle droids into an atmosphere to fight a battle. Now, the way he describes it is perfect, really. He really explains just how incredible that kind of a feat really should be. And it should be. Entering atmosphere in a suit on the back of a war droid sounds like one of the most extreme things that you can do. You know what I mean? And he did it. And he's awesome. And now he's running around muscling thugs. Now, one thing really quick, before I go any further, one of my viewers last night postulated a comment that I want to discuss. One person actually said, hey, guys, guess what? Is it really Django? Wow. One of my viewers said, maybe there is no light side and dark side. Now, this is a tricky one, because that is possible that there is no light side and dark side, that it is all an invention of the individuals. Because, as we've already talked about, the living force, the raw energy, patterns itself, right? So what if, once upon a time, people simply were that corrupt and that horrible and that afflicting that they used the force in such a way so that, well, to put it to you this way, there is no external dark side, okay? There's just the force that they're drawing on, and they assume it's the dark side, and that leads to, and there's a term for this in psychiatry, and I don't remember what it's called, but it leads to the excuse effect, is what I like to call it. In other words, let's say you're walking along, and suddenly, someone shows up and is like, "Ha! I mind control you. You must punch that guy in the face." And you turn and you punch the guy in the face, and it turns out he had no mind control over you at all, right? In other words, if you believe you have no consequences, no responsibility for your actions, you are therefore more likely to do something simply because you want to, or because you're a bad person, or because you're a good person, or whatever. You are more likely to be yourself when you feel like you don't have to hold back. It's the same reason why I've often said for years and years and years and years, power does not corrupt. I've said this for all my life, basically. Power enables. Power does not corrupt, right? So the idea here is the exact same thing. Maybe these people are using the Force, and they're like, we are super evil, because now we can be. Because we're using the dark side, right? We're like, we have given into the dark side, so therefore we have to be evil. And yeah, it's a degree of rationalization. And it gets a little metaphysical because I think the Force does have something to do with that. Because the Force is literally manifesting in them. So it's one of two things. Either the Force has no influence on them at all. It's a completely internal thing. Or the Force is adjusting itself to their internal mindset. If you follow how I think of that. So in both of these circumstances, there is no light side and there is no dark side. There is just the Force which in you, as you use it, reflects how you use it, and your mentality and your perspective. This would also explain why the concept of there being more than two sides of the Force is feasible. This would also kind of slide into the whole, light side is not good, dark side is not evil thing that is so prevalent in virtually all the EU. And yeah, the Jedi Council exactly does the same thing. We use the light side, so we are the good guys, Now, Omega Legion, to use my favorite example of that, there's this one planet, this one section of a planet called Dagobah, where a master Sith Dark Jedi master dude fought Yoda, right? And the two of them screwed up the terrain so badly that there's an area which is this massive nexus of dark side energy. Two perspectives on that. Number one, if the Force has no external influence at all, the first mindset I gave you earlier, then all that is a massive force of Force energy, which Yoda perceives as dark because the guy he was fighting was dark side, so of course it's dark. So when Yoda tells Luke of this place, and Luke goes into this place of the dark side, he goes in expecting the dark side, and shazam! That's what happens, right? Although that could be argued as well. Second perspective, the Force alters itself to fit your mindset. Well, again, that actually fits perfectly in with what we've already talked about, because there's the whole situation with Luke and Yoda and the guy all expecting that place to be a massive nexus of dark side energy, and therefore it is, because that much Force was pulled into that section and is just lying there stagnant. But shrug. I'm not sure if I agree with this theory. Like I said, it's something that was tossed out the other day. Malachor 5 is not a nexus of dark side or light side energy. Malachor 5 is a void. That's the whole point of Malachor 5. Malachor 5 broke people and the Force. That's a different thing. That's a whole different thing. There's not really dark side energy there. I know they say there is, but let's be honest with ourselves. There's an absence of the Force there. I mean, really, right? So anyways, I lost my train of thought. Oh, right. So both of these are valid. And like I said, I don't fully agree with them because I kind of look at my perspective, but I wanted to share my full thoughts on that perspective. A, in case that gentleman is watching now, but B, because it's a good perspective. And this is what I was talking about. There is no right or wrong about the Force. Like, Kay is arguing with me about the Force, right? But he's trying to convince me, which is going to fail because I'm already really invested in my own theory on the Force. However, his theory on the Force is just as valid as mine. That's really my whole point in a nutshell. We decide what the Force is because there is no writ rules. No one has ever sat down and said, this is what the Force is, except for the 7 times they did and they all disagreed with each other. This is one of the problems you have when you have a franchise, right? You can't just, you can't just sit down and say, well, this is the rules, because then they change, right? It's like defining the Prime Directive over in Star Trek or something like that. The Prime Directive is not actually coherent. A lot of Star Trek is actually not coherent for that matter, because multiple writers. I've already talked about this concept. So that's why I wanted to share this. There's so many different wonderful, fascinating theories I've heard about the Force. There is of course the George Lucas theory of the Force, which is retarded, but I'm going to go ahead and share it because I don't think we've really talked about it that much. Here's the George Lucas version of the Force, okay? There's the Force, the living Force, actually. And the living Force is a sentient entity that has the ability to see how life should be. And it is correct. In other words, we could just call the sentient force God, and it would be just as accurate. Really, it would. This is something I've argued many, many times. When you talk about fate, when you talk about how there is a destined plan or whatnot, you mean God. That is what you're saying. I don't care if you use that word or not, okay? So let's just make that clear. So we've got the living force, which has this sentient plan for everything, and this is how things could go. And as a result of bad people forever ago, the dark side came to be. And the dark side was a perversion of the Force, a weaker and yet corrupt version of the Force that is incorrect, that should not be. And the entire world, or the entirety of the galaxy, would actually be better if the dark side was removed from it, because it is basically a cancerous thing that affects everyone around it in order to make them worse. And I say worse because the whole idea here is whatever the Force wants is considered good. Therefore, the dark side, by its very nature, which is about change and force and your will, pushes against the will of the Force. Ergo, it makes you worse. That's why you get corrupted in the skin. That's why they do things that are destructive. That's why they go hideously evil. Blah, 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 blah. That is George Lucas's perspective on the Force. And I hate myself for saying this, but that is still a valid perspective. I wish he hadn't actually said that, you know, hey, this is the rules. Especially since he then immediately turned around and changed his mind on that like a couple years later. However, that is, and funny fact, he himself talked about balance in the Force, and yet by George Lucas's own words, hey Wessel, by George Lucas's own words, balance meant the dark side going away, because that's what balance means, right? I'm sorry, I don't mean to make too much fun. I disagree with George Lucas's perspective on the Force. Like I've heard many different theories from many different people, and I like a lot of their theories, but there are only a few theories I've heard that I actively disagree with, and that's one of them. The light side is good, the dark side is evil, and a corruption of what should be, and a perversion of fate, and everything we go through is fated to be. No. I do not agree with that perspective. I shrug. It's actually funny because so many viewers and audience members both were like, wait a minute, if Anakin's supposed to bring... I mean, even in the first prequel, so many people were like, wait a minute, Anakin is supposed to bring balance to the Force, and he did, through Luke. And just about everyone I talked to's thoughts on the matter was, Luke brought balance to the Force. I'm getting tired of hearing that noise. Luke brought balance to the Force, thank you, Wessel, because Luke was able to use the light side and the dark side equally. And under his tutelage, we saw people who weren't restricted by the old dogma and doctrine that had plagued the Jedi since, let's be honest, Exar Kun, 40 years before this game. I mean, really, that's basically when the Jedi doctrine started. And so for the last 4,000 frickin' years, there's been this dogma that has been passed down throughout the generations that has been keeping the light Jedi back. And it was finally extinguished because they didn't have a chance to teach it to Luke. And so Luke just kind of was like, I'm going to make it up, let's go! And thus we have balance with the Force, right? First of all, I'd just like to say, happy birthday, Daimyo Reaver. I hope I'm saying that right, but happy birthday. Daimyo Reaver? I'm gonna go with that. Of course, I have to comment on one other thing with regards to the balance thing. That being the fact that, what's his name? Her name, Kreia. Kreia was trying to bring balance to the Force too, in her own horrible, horrible way. See, the problem is, Django, while you are correct, if you analyze any of George Lucas's thoughts and comments and whatnot, he is self-contradictory fairly often. I mean, I'm not exactly completely cohesive because people change and I change, and that's natural. But George Lucas will literally 180 his perspective if you give him a couple years and ask him the same question. This is also one of the reasons why I don't really care for George Lucas's mindset on things, because he changes his mind. When George Lucas was first interviewed, all the way back in Star Wars, he called the Force a mystical energy thing that, I forget the exact wording, but basically a mystical energy thing that did not need to be explained. That was George Lucas saying that, all the way back in the 80s. And then he comes along and says, well, I have to explain the Force. And then he explains the Force, and then he changes his mind on his explanation of the Force. You know, that's just one example, but he does this all the time. The idea of purity and not changing the film works is something that a lot of film buffs got over. It is a good example of that. But anyways, I digress. Interesting, Kay. I kind of like that perspective. Hey, Seventh, by the way. Hi, everyone. Good morning to all. Let's go do some stuff.
I've got a plan to escape Taris, but I can't do it alone. I need someone I know can get the job done to help me. That's where you come in.
Careful. Mercs like this haven't a lick of conscience. They'll betray you in a heartbeat. This could be a trap.
I ain't talking to you. I'm talking to your friend, aren't I? I saw you win that swoop race and started thinking. Anyone crazy enough to race like that is probably crazy enough to break into the Sith military base. I need someone to steal the Sith launch codes from the base. Without those codes, any ship leaving the atmosphere will be disintegrated by the Sith fleet's automated defense guns. Here's the deal. You bring me those launch codes, and I can provide the vehicle to get us off the planet. Davik's flagship, the Ebon Hawk.
And I'm not a huge fan of the Ebon Hawk, but I have to admit it's a nice ship, and I know many people consider that the ship as far as their own personal, if I wanted a small-scale ship that was mine, I would choose the Ebon Hawk. And it's hard to disagree with that, because it's a damn nice ship. Although, if you had to pick between the Millennium Falcon and the Ebon Hawk, which would you pick, just out of curiosity? But, Django, I have to torture my viewers, don't you understand?
Getting in won't be easy. The Sith base is protected by an encrypted security system. It would take a top-of-the-line astromech droid to slice through it. Lucky for you, I know just the place to get a droid like that. Davik was having one custom built by Janice Nall. Just tell her Canderas sent you and she'll sell you the droid. Then you can use it to get the launch codes from the Sith base.
A lot of people saying the Hawk. I'm torn, personally. Because both of them are very nice ships. The Hawk is probably a newer, nicer, sleeker ship, but the Falcon, man, the Falcon is customized to hell and back.
Davik paid for the droid, but I'm the guy he put in charge of the mission. He won't care how I come up with those codes. Normally I'd do this myself, but everyone knows who I work for. If I broke into the Sith base, they'd send an army down on Davik's estate to get those codes back. That's why I need you.
Okay, let's do it. I wonder what happens if you say no.
I don't sense any deception from him, which is surprising. This may be exactly what we need.
I'm going to wait in Javier's cantina. You come and find me when you've got those launch codes, and I'll make sure we both get off this rock.
The Otana, Baronessa? You are weird. Alright, I need to be right back, guys. I'm sorry. I'll be right back. Told you I wouldn't be long. Ugh. 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 Okay, there we go. Alright, alright. Hang on.
How can I help?
Oh, okay, Lurker. That sounds like a curse to me, Permius. Speaking as someone who's lived an interesting life. Loot being left on the ground. Some people are actually bothered by how the technology of Star Wars never changes, but I've always liked it simply because it is very indicative of the theme of patterns and cycles that I've mentioned several times. The idea that, because the thing is, there are actually quite a few dark ages in Star Wars history where they lose technology. It's one of the reasons why the prequels had such a higher technology level than the original trilogy. Because they literally did. And then the Clone Wars hit, and a lot of crap hit, and they literally lost technology. And then they slowly worked their way back up to it, and then they plummet again, because there's another Dark Age. Star Wars follows this pattern quite a bit, actually.
Yes, what's on your mind?
Yes, I do, Pandemonium, personally.
You do? Well, fair enough. What do you want to discuss? I knew you wouldn't understand where I was coming from. Let me try and explain. You got the skills of an elite commando, and you saved my butt more than once. Between that and your facility with languages, I'm lucky you're here. But that doesn't mean that I'm gonna stop watching you being wary. I'm just not built that way. Period. You haven't done anything yet, but there's no guarantee that you won't do anything in the future. I've been betrayed before by people, and well, it won't happen again. I don't know that you'll betray me, but there are no guarantees. Not for you, not for me. You don't have to take it personally. Well, you can stop wondering. I'm not. And I don't need all these questions. What I do need is to try and save the galaxy, if that's even possible. Why is whether or not I trust you or anyone so damned important to you? Why do you even care? We don't have time for this, so can we please just drop it for now? Can we pick it up later if you really must? I want to get underway.
Now, speaking of someone who always kills Kaiden, or Caden, or whatever the hell his name is, I never associate him with that. Raphael Sabarge is awesome for other reasons in my mind. I do like the fact that he does effectively become betrayed in this situation. I actually wish we had done more analysis of his character, because the idea here is, well, for example, no, Django, I refuse! Minimum level run, go! Actually, I do want to do something in a moment. The idea here is that Karth is betrayed because he finds out the truth of Revan. And at first he acts like you betrayed him, and it becomes pretty clear after a few, after a few conversations that no, he's not actually betrayed by you. So, one of the interesting things, though, is that he never go into the real betrayal. The Jedi! I mean, forgive me for sounding very anti-Jedi, because I've certainly come across that way, but, I mean, really? They betrayed him. In fact, what the Jedi Council did... I might as well talk about this now. I'm going the wrong way. What the Jedi Council did is they pulled a Revan.
A plague spreads
Seriously.
far streets.
They did something morally and ethically questionable because they believed it was acceptable for the greater good. They mind-wiped a person, replaced his personality, haha, fearsome, and programmed him basically to be more akin to their mindset because it was right, because they were right, and then they lied about it to everyone else, to the Republic, to the military, Now, there are understandable reasons why they did that, but I find it interesting that Karth, in all his given his biggest flaw is the whole idea of betrayal, why it is he did not feel betrayed by the Jedi. Of course, the secret answer to that is, considering the Jedi get nuked in this game, maybe they just never had a chance to.
Hachu apanki, jishawa anibong kasha, chona tanga boksha nagno.
Give me the T3. Are we good guy right now? Yeah, we're a good guy. Okay. Sith kebab. Wow. Alright, let's go to the hideout. Just so I stop torturing poor Django. Fine, Lurker. Dong. Dong. Actually, this isn't what I want to do right now. I want to do...
Hey there, what can I do for you? I don't want to talk about Griff and Lena. Just the thought of that space tramp makes my blood boil. Subject's closed as far as I'm concerned. If I'm gonna be any help to you, I can't be worrying about my brother running off with some intergalactic skank. So is there something else you need?
Titans, why is it stupid to give someone full price for something to ensure that they have, oh, I don't know, decent prosperity or being taken care of or anything like that? I mean, really. Altruism and being a penny pincher don't really work hand in hand. Ah, shoot. Leslie's thing is scrolling off here. Ah. Yeah. Here, we'll stop you spinning while I read this. Oh, okay, Wessel. I get you. That makes sense. Okay, hang on. So let's check everyone really quick.
How can I help?
Yes, what's on your mind? Oh, you want to argue some more, is that it? And I don't want to argue with you either. I mean, you seem sincere enough, I guess. I just don't trust easily. And for good reasons, which are my own.
Hey, Fitzcott.
Oh, damn it. I suppose I won't get any rest until I talk, will I? You want to know why I don't trust anyone? Fine. Here goes. 5 years ago, the Jedi had just finished the war with the Mandalorians. Revan and Malik were heroes. I was damn proud to have served in their fleet. It was completely unexpected when they turned on us, invading the Republic while we were still weak. Nobody knew what to think, least of all me. Our
That's the
heroes
first
had
betrayal.
become brutal, conquering Sith. And we were all but helpless before them. I mean, think about it. If you can't even trust the best of the Jedi, who can you trust?
Now that's indicative of another problem that I haven't talked about before, but is very much across. I will not kill mission, Adam Suida. I made a promise and I keep my word. That is very indicative across all of Star Wars. That isn't talked about as much as I wish it was. One of my favorite sequences in the the Thrawn trilogy is a sequence where Luke is in some random bar on a planet he's never been in before, and there's this plasma leak right over his chair. And he's there, and completely random strangers ask him to mediate a dispute between them because he's a Jedi. Mind you, this is in the Thrawn trilogy, which is years after Return of the Jedi, which is decades after the Galactic Empire has been in charge, and yet after all that time, there was still enough cultural and societal trust in the Jedi, in the mindset and perspective of the Jedi. The idea here being, whether it's good or bad, the Jedi themselves have basically engendered this thing that they know what's best, and they are the correct in things. And so, and it's understandable that culturally across a ridiculous number of races, across all the galaxy, all these different worlds, all these different cultures, all these different people, there's still this just inherent trust in the Jedi because they have spent literally centuries building up this idea of we're the Jedi and we're right. Hey, Galtori. What are you cooking? So, yeah, the idea here being that it makes perfect sense that what Karth has just said, Karth is an experienced and, quite frankly, cynical Republic soldier who's been through a lot of stuff, and yet even he gives the line, if you can't trust the best of the Jedi, who can you trust? Think about that. Really, really indicative of how the galaxy's mundanes, the people who actually freaking matter, view the Jedi as a whole.
No, it wasn't even that. There were others. Good, solid men, trusted men who turned on us as well and joined their cause. Malik and Revan and the Sith deserve to die for what they've done. But the ones who fled the Republic and joined them are even worse. The dark side has nothing to do with why they joined with the Sith. They deserve no mercy.
Now this is funny. Really, Django? Wow. This is very, very interesting what Karth just said. He's still, as he's gesturing over and over there. Let's just let him gesture there. Because notice how he, again, common person, common populace, automatically assumes that there's an excuse for the Jedi. It's okay that Revan betrayed us. Oh, it's not okay, but it's understandable. There's a reasoning. There's a reason behind why the Jedi turned, because the dark side turned them. And that's what the dark side does. It makes you evil, right? But the other funny thing is he talks about how many people joined the Sith without having any dark side influence. And he talks about how those people deserve no mercy. Again, talking about that whole that excuse thing. But more importantly, if you'll give me for being blunt, both I'm trying to think how to put this. He's wrong. Okay, let's just put that this way. He's wrong because they're all wrong. Again, as I mentioned earlier, the dark side doesn't really actually influence you. It enables you. The light side doesn't influence you. It enables you, unless you do the teetering thing, right? Unless you do the seesaw effect. But the seesaw effect takes time. It took Palpatine like 3 decades to become a raving idiot from glutting on the dark side, and there's other examples of that as well. So what I'm saying here is that all the people who went to join the Sith Empire, aka Malik's fun bag of stupidity, were just evil to begin with. They were not influenced by the dark side. There was no external thing. There was no excuse. And that's the important part. Karth himself is willing to give an excuse for the Jedi, but there is no excuse. They did evil because they were enabled to do it. And how many people decided to join Revan willingly, knowing exactly what kind of thing he was trying to do? I cannot believe that Revan was quiet about his goals. We are going to strengthen the galaxy. We are going to rejuvenate the galaxy. How many people amongst the Republic soldiers and amongst the Jedi have seen the galaxy as this festering, rotting corpse? I've talked already, in the First Planet, I've talked already about how the Republic is a boil that is just rotting. It's a rotting corpse at this point in time. The bureaucracy, I already talked about all that concept, right? Wouldn't it be logical that people would just be sick of that? That a lot of soldiers joined up with the Sith because they were sick and tired of all that garbage? That they wanted to actually go and do something about it? That they wanted to actually fix things? Now, yes, there are people who are going to join the Sith Empire because they're evil bastards. Remember the guy who was going to beat an alien to death because, well, there was no reason. He just felt like beating an alien to death. That's a sick person who's a bastard who just deserves to die. So, of course, people like that are going to go ahead and join the Sith Empire. But my point here is there are probably plenty of people who join the Sith Empire because they want to do something. You don't have it. There is no such thing as an empire of all evil people unless you're a frickin' Dalek. Okay? There is no such thing as that unless you're a Dalek. There are plenty of people who are genuinely loyal to Revan for actually being the one to do something, who are genuinely loyal to the idea for just... You get where I'm going with this, right? So yes, there are plenty of people in the Sith Empire who are bastards. One of my favorite lines, this is actually in Tor. One of my favorite lines is you're going through and you're about to get a miniature little quest, and it's from a Sith soldier. And the Sith soldier is being... You ask him, what are you here for? What's your job? And the Sith soldier says, well, I am here to protect the locals from wildlife that might kill them. And you have a dialogue option that can say, it's good to see you protecting Imperial citizens. And the soldier responds, yes, this assignment is much better than certain others. I'm paraphrasing a bit, right? But that's the idea. This was a soldier who actually wanted to help people and protect people and genuinely wanted to do good and was a loyal soldier of the Sith Empire. This is the one under Vishay, by the way, not the one under Revan and Malik. Oh, whatever, Lilu. By the way, hi, everyone. Hi, Madman. Hi, hi, everyone I have missed lately while I've been ranting, and Karth has been gesturing. He's angry that I haven't responded yet. That's why Karth is still gesturing. So... Oh, Django, I didn't know that. I'll check that out in a bit. Sorry, that came off as a bit of a rant. But I mention this because, again, it's the mindset of the people that affects the Force and their perspectives on all such things. The Sith Empire is not evil. The Republic is not good. Period. Moving on.
I know. And I should apologize to you. I've become so accustomed to expecting the worst in others, and you've done nothing to deserve that. It's just... No, never mind. Let's just continue with what we were doing. I'd rather not talk about it.
Several of them do, Farty. Tuxedo, a lore run, is when I go through a game and discuss it and analyze it as I go. It's basically like my ruminations, except done live, because I can actually pause and talk about things, and I can point to specific lines or graphics or music or whatever they do to get across aspects of the story and gameplay and say, there's where something happens. And some of my viewers like Loreruns. I don't know. Do you guys like my Loreruns?
Yes, what's on your mind?
Okay, so we're done with Karth for the moment. And that's as far as we're getting with Zalbar at the moment. Hey, T3. T3 has no personality in this game, so I don't have anything to say about him just yet. Ah, shoot, I lost Wessel's question again. Karth, I believe that what we must do is have a situation where we understand the Karth Onasi has a problem with being betrayed. Okay, I'm done. Scrolling up. Wessel, I believe there's been several games that have pulled off the idea of grayness pretty well. I'm just going to toss out a few. New Vegas. New Vegas. The Witcher series, if I'm honest. The KoTOR 2 does a pretty good job of that. And Dragon Age Origins. I think those are the big ones. I figured fearsome. Yeah, T3 basically does not have a personality, so I don't really have anything to talk about him in this game. We'll talk about him later. Agreed, Hunter. I liked that too, fairness, a lot. Like, a lot. No, Tim's up. I have not. Okay, he's equipped. He doesn't matter because he's a droid. Droidism! Alright, fine. We'll do some upgrades just to placate Django, and for no other reason. What else do you want to upgrade? Meh. A simple upgrade system, but one I like, by the way. That's all I'm going to say about that. If I had to do the light side and dark side meter part of Pandemonium, no, I am not, Fitzcott. I would probably make a situation where the light side and the dark side. It's complicated. Let me think about how to explain this. There is an exceptionally small series of gray Jedi, but there isn't really a gray faction. Okay. What I would do is make it so that the more you use the light side or dark side in game terms, in abilities, and we would divide them up, the more you get inclined towards that side, which makes those abilities stronger and the opposing abilities weaker. However, there would be one other caveat to that, and it's hard to explain, but there's two parts of it. Number one, the more you use dark side abilities, you would actually get to a point where you'd have to start passing the equivalent of willpower saves in order to not do something that is in character for that side. And I don't mean good or evil, I mean excessively violent or aggressive for the dark side, and excessively passive or acceptant for the light side, right? And so, the more you go either direction, the more it would actually literally influence your character and the decisions you can make chat-wise, right? However, second thing I would do with it is I would make the power curves like this, if you know what this is, which you don't, of course. So here's the middle, here's light side, here's dark side. So if you're super dark side, all your dark side abilities are really strong. And if you're super light side, all your light side abilities are strong. And of course, if you're towards the middle, you're really, really weak in both until you get to the middle, in which case both abilities would be very, very strong. So there would be a benefit to staying right in the middle, or going all the way one way, or going all the way the other way. So that's how I would do a light side, dark side meter if I was doing a game. Favorite game genre is probably a combination of RPG, 4X, and RTS. All three of those are basically tied. Hello, modern buddy. Welcome to the stream. Shoutouts, have fun, don't be a stranger. Feel free to ask me lots of questions about Molag Bal. I get those all the time. Okay, let's run. I need you, unfortunately. So let's bring Karth, because I need more Karth dialogues. And we'll go ahead and level T3, because, I mean, who cares about T3, honestly? Level up. Wow, int of 20. Who says I'm not Lurker? Not pretty weak, Sal. Your 80% light side would still be pretty strong using light side abilities. You would be pretty weak if you were, like, around here or around here, not up here or up here. Also, it's not a zero-sum game, so it doesn't work that way. If Molag Bal was in the Star Wars universe, he'd be like, ha ha ha, I will rule everything, and then he'd die. Just recommended. Recommended. T3 is a skill bot. What do you want from me? Actually, several times I played through this game, I tend to go, like, all the way through with T3 as literally just in my party all the time, as nothing but a skill bot. Because I usually play a Soldier Guardian. My opinion on Molag Bal is that he's ridiculously stupid, and nobody should like him, ever. Any questions? Yes, Pandemonium. I have actually played Disgaea before. Yes, British Twitch, it would slowly start shifting your alignment. And I'm having trouble catching up to chat all of a sudden. Hang on, so... I missed a question up here. Question, scroll up, scroll up, scroll up. What is my reaction to when I first saw how Malik looked? I thought he looked ridiculous. I mean, the jaw thing's okay, and Malik, and he had a decent voice actor. But when I saw Malik, you know, his inability to put on a proper cloak and his dumb jumpsuit, my first reaction was, "You're the bad guy?" And I actually thought there would be another bad guy behind him, which, I mean, technically there is, but, pathetic. Yeah, I could go with that, Madman. That comparison was made last night, too. If I was a Daedric Lord, my domain would be Order. We've already discussed this.
Yes?
Alright, see if we can talk to Karth.
Yes, what's...
Nope. Fine, I'll level. Tomorrowland, I liked Tomorrowland. It had some flaws. Mostly its climax was kind of lacking. Actually, its climax was severely lacking. But I did like it quite a bit. Yes, Nero's has, absolutely. Duh. What is a periite? And thank you, Legal Dino. Yes, we did, Taitu. Malik decided to glass a planet, and Revan was like, no, give me that. And punished him for it. Scroll down. There we go. Sorry, I'm trying to catch up on chat here. Treat injury? Treat injury? Pacha! Awareness! Okay, and fine. We'll put some points into treat injury. Just for you, Django. For no other reason. Okay, now let's see if he'll talk to us.
Yes, what's on your...
Aha!
I thought I said I don't want to talk about it anymore. Not particularly. I guess it wouldn't hurt exactly either, though I don't know why you're so interested. When I think of all the men who betrayed us, the one that stands out above all of them is the one that I respected the most. Saul.
So, I'm pretty sure my opinion on Sheogorath is the same as everyone's opinion on Sheogorath. And no, I have not played Chivalry Medieval Warfare. Thank you, Captain Sid. Baronessa, if you were a Daedric lady, your domain would be pleasure and pain. Sorry. So, this is interesting. I just want to talk about this really quick before we discuss more of Karth's character here. What Karth is going through is a very classic situation of pedestal syndrome. In other words, there's someone who you think of highly, and you don't actually interact with. This is actually important. You don't interact with them. You've never met them. You've never talked. You don't know them. You don't know what kind of person they are. You just know them by reputation or by pictures or by movies or whatever. So you put them up on a bit of a pedestal. We all do this. I do this, you do this, we all do this. Human beings do this. And so it's very clear and very obvious, based on what we learned about Karth and what we've learned about Saul, that Karth, he had so much respect for the officer that Saul was, and he had so much respect for the admiral. And Saul... Anyways, so as I was trying to say, the idea here is that even though Karth, interacted with Saul, it's clear Karth never actually knew Saul at all. Because from what we understand, Saul was always a bastard. Saul was always someone who was a little bit more evil than otherwise would be inclined to think, right? And is probably one of the more screwed up people in this particular game, in this specific game. So... I just mentioned this because, there's only two ways to think of this. This is my, I should rephrase this, rewind. This is my perspective on this. My perspective is that Saul was always a bad guy. Saul was always a bastard. Saul was always evil. It was not until the situation came up with the rebellion that he was enabled to be evil, because Saul... And this allegory comes up all over the place in KoTOR 1. Saul was yet another example of, I must restrain myself because it is what is expected of me. And then when he was allowed to, when Revan announced his thing and when Malik announced his thing, Saul was like, excellent, now I can be myself, basically. I mean, that's an exaggeration, but that's the idea. Saul was the one who actually leapt on board, and he was one of those people who leapt on board with the Sith Empire expansionist blah, blah, blah crap, because he was a terrible person, as opposed to any of the other perspectives. So the idea here is that Call was another one of those people who were, bastards, basically, and was enabled to be a bastard. That's one perspective to think of it, and that is my perspective. There is a second perspective that is valid. Okay, I don't want to talk about how it's invalid. I don't want to talk about it. Even if I disagree with it, that does not mean it is an invalid perspective. And that perspective is the massive amount of force energy which was being used as the dark side around Saul, because Saul was right up there in the upper echelons with Malik and with Revan, corrupted him to the dark side, and therefore Saul was a decent person and then was corrupted by the dark side to be an evil person. I don't agree with that theory at all, as I've already made clear. But it is still a valid theory. It is still a way to perceive the circumstances. Shrug. I think it is far more likely that Saul, like I said, was another one of those people who's like, if I can use a direct example, like, you know what, I don't want to use it. I don't want to get into history. I don't want to get into politics. That's usually from... He was like so many people who, when they receive power, and receive the freedom from their actions, they decide to use it in a horrible way. And you might be like, well, he already had power. He was already a leader of the Republic. That's not power. That's obligation. Being given a situation where he is in charge of an actual thing and actually has power and freedom to act, that's power. That's enabling. As an aside, though, I have absolutely no doubt whatsoever that the only reason Malik's campaign against the Republic was doing anything was because of Saul. See, here's the thing. Brute force and numbers can win battles. And it's no denying that with the Starforge at his back and Malik's desire to be like, I'm going to kill everything, tactics, that can work. However, the problem with that kind of a tactic is it's really, really easy to counter. It takes very little strategic know-how and skill in order to be able to bypass that kind of a thing, right? So, yeah. Now, as was pointed out, Saul is one of those people who's against glassing Taris, but not because he's a good person. He's against glassing Taris because it's stupid to do so. And the mere fact that he thinks it's stupid makes my point for me about how Saul is the military mind behind Malik's empire. And doesn't that wonderfully fit in with how we keep talking about how Force users are not superior? I just talked about this with Bastila. Kreia will talk about this extensively in KoTOR 2. Malik may be a guy who can use the dark side, but he's a terrible leader, terrible tactician, and terrible everything, basically. He has nothing going for him in terms of actually running a Sith Empire, except for the fact that he has people under him who do that job for him. Ironically, he is actually a mask. Funny, isn't it? Telos was not a situation in which they would have had military losses, Reach Network. At least if I'm remembering correctly. In this situation, they would actually take significant military loss to glass this planet. And they did. And it was a stupid move. But anyways, back to it.
With good reason. Admiral Saul Karth is the commander of the entire Sith fleet. He's half the reason Malik has done so well in the war. Saul was my commanding officer back when the Mandalorian Wars first began. He taught me everything about being a soldier, and I looked up to him. Saul approached me before he left. He talked to me about how the Republic was on the losing side and about how I should start thinking of my survival. I know now that he was trying to recruit me into the Sith, but I couldn't have conceived of it back then. I argued with him and he got angry and he left. I never saw him again.
In Requiem, that's a good question, and it depends on a different question. Would the galaxy be better without the Force? And the only way to answer that is to use your particular interpretation of the Force. I could agree with that, Wessel. And as was pointed out in chat, I want to say this out loud for anybody watching at home or who didn't catch this. Someone in chat pointed out something very, very valid and very significant. Revan was winning against the Republic by barely using the Starforge. It's actually mentioned several times that Revan was running the Starforge at its absolute minimum capacity because A, Revan had a brain, and B, Revan knew why the Starforge was the kind of thing that you don't want to use. He understood why the Starforge was one of the key linchpins of the entire Infinite Empire collapsing. And he didn't want that kind of thing to happen. It could also be argued that Revan didn't want to use the dark side too much, because that's valid too, but I digress. The point being that Revan was winning with the Starforge barely functional. Malik had the Starforge going at full freaking tilt in order to actually accomplish the same results. It kind of demonstrates the difference between the two, even with Saul.
Saul was my mentor. He led us to so many victories against the Mandalorians. Even when things looked to be at their worst, I couldn't conceive of it. He couldn't be serious. I was wrong, of course. He not only left us for the Sith, he gave them the codes to bypass our scanners. I remember waking up as the first of the Sith bombers snuck past our defenses and began destroying half of our docked ships. I knew right away what had happened. I could have stopped him. I could have stopped it all. I blame Saul, not myself. I was stupid and I ignored the danger. He nearly destroyed us all. No, I fought Saul for years now, and if I ever catch up to him, he will regret what he's done. He will regret it.
As a side note, we'll be talking about the Starforge later, because, I mean, we're on the first planet here, for God's sakes, and going more into depth in my personal theories of why the Starforge causes what it causes to happen. But let's just say that in my personal perspective, in my interpretation of the Force and the you know, external stuff and all that fun stuff, the Starforge still makes perfect sense, but I'll get to that later.
Well, there's more to the story, I guess. But I don't want to talk about it right now. Let's go.
Okay, so we have talked about Saul. We are officially done with all that. The time has come to get Karth out of my party, because we're done with him now. Be gone, Karth! Okay, so I need T3. I haven't gotten any of his stuff yet.
Sure.
Okay, still nothing with Zalbar. Now that's an interesting perspective, Dog Andes. I'm curious if you actually mean that or if you're just saying things. Because I have a few people in my chat who just say things. Yes, okay, I know where I'm going. A Vulcan Sith would be a Romulan, okay? Sorry.
Agus?
Yeah. Wow, Taitu. Yeah, I've never done auto level up in like any game that does that unless I do not care about it. Which I do sometimes. Fine, Django. Hang on. Oh no, I'm sorry, Kay, but you know I'm right? A Vulcan who has unleashed all of their self-control is effectively a Romulan at that point. I'm not saying it wouldn't be interesting, because I think that'd actually be really cool. Imagine Tuvok, for example, having completely removed his self-control. He would be a massively powerful Sith. An awesome character. Especially since he wouldn't necessarily be evil. As an aside, I think Klingons would be natural Dark Jedi while I'm on the subject. Okay, so Bastila and I have to bring T3. Damn it. Oh, can you, Django? You can tell I haven't changed. I usually don't change party members all that often, but I'm trying to min-max my conversations here. Now, a Klingon light side user, that's a little bit different. But as I was just discussing with my friend over there, I think it's funny because a Vulcan would make a perfect light or dark Jedi. They could use the light side or the dark side with equal power, depending on where they're at. Like a Vulcan who is normal, you know, has all that discipline and self-control, light Jedi. A Vulcan who has removed all that, dark Jedi. Yeah, but Klingons and Mandalorians have a great deal of similarity to that, although that was done after the Mandalorians were made a thing. See, when the Mandalorians were initially introduced, they actually had very little similarity to the Klingons. They were actually kind of bastards. And horribleness, and we want to fight because we want to fight. No sense of honor or dignity or anything. Canderas was one of the exceptions to the rule, not the rule itself. But then, you know, after time, a lot of writers took this Mandalorian ideal and gave them the warrior race thing, the honor code thing, and that became the Klingon thing, basically. And yeah, by the way, a Klingon Jedi, I actually agree with what Kay said 100%. Worf has a tremendous amount of self-discipline and restraint and control, and he would definitely be a Klingon Jedi. Oh, awesome, Reach. I might actually do that. You lie, Reach. Or maybe you don't. I don't know. Personally, Doug, I think Revan was trying to keep Malik alive as long as possible out of respect, some distant level of respect and honoring the friend that he used to be. And I feel like Revan, when he finally would have killed Malik, would have done so regretfully, if you know what I mean. Oh. Oh, shoot. Well, let's go help the Ithorian. I thought I already done that cutscene, but you're right, I haven't. Onwards. Oh, right, let's see if we have a new Bastila conversation yet. Nope. Okay, fine. We'll level her because we don't have a conversation. And for no other reason. Else, don't care.
Here.
See you around, Saul, dear. After the Mandalorian Wars, who was the most broken? God, there are so many people who qualify for most broken. Whoops, I'm the wrong person. I mean, Bao-Dur was very broken. The man was effectively a ticking clock. And nothing more after that point in time. So that's a... I don't know. That sounds like my everyday real life, Rory. These? Ah, here he is. There he is.
Get out of here, you goggle-eyed freak! You're too ugly for the upper city.
Why do you care what happens to some scummy alien? He's just a freak.
Yeah, he isn't even supposed to be in the upper city. Come on, let's go. I don't want to listen to this alien lover anymore.
Poor Ithorians. I've always had a fondness, a soft spot in my mind for Ithorians. I don't even know why. It's just there. Fearsome already answered that. The idea there being that the Revan, you know, again had a strong deal of loyalty and friendship still remaining of Malik, of the man he used to be, of Alec. of Alex and so the idea there is that he was keeping him as his right-hand man because he had always been his right-hand man. He was the one. He was the first one to follow him. He was the guy to be, you know, the loyal right-hand man, and so he allowed him to keep being that even when he knew it was a bad thing. Because Revan is not exactly invincible, or he's not flawless. There we go. That's the word I'm going for. He's not flawless. He is a perfectly flawed individual, just as anyone else is. So one of his weak spots is actually Malik. He's like, no, my friend, you know, and Malik's like, I will kill you, you know. Even when he took off his jaw, most other Sith or Dark Jedi, or indeed people in general, would have seen that situation, and they wouldn't have just taken his jaw. You know what I mean? That was a small thing for Revan to do. Also, I would really love to see more of the Mandalorian Wars on camera, if you know what I mean. It would be okay, Modern Buddy, if someone else was writing it. That would be my perspective. Okay, yeah, let's go ahead and get rid of T3M Dude. And I've already gotten their 2 interactions, so let's get his. All right. No, the dark side doesn't make people anything. It makes them different. I'm here for a meeting. Don't worry. I know where I have to go. Okay. Well, here's 50 credits. Don't hit the alarm. Do me a favor. Let me leave before you start blasting the place out. That's a good example of why being stupid and evil is not a really good idea long term, because for some reason being stupid and evil just does not engender loyalty. It's weird. Also, Mandalorian Front Battlefront, or Mandalorian Wars Battlefront, yes! Make it happen! It won't, but it would be awesome.
Let's make this quick. There.
How'd you like that?
Yeah, 50 credits. Of course, 50 credits is actually a decent sum of money for an average person, just like, you know, 2 gold is a decent sum of money for an average person. In most settings, anyways.
You asked for this!
To my knowledge, Star Wars has never discussed religion, and by deliberate design. There have been a few exceptions, the Yuzun Vong come to mind. But they've usually said, no, we're just going to leave that out there, and everyone else can come up with whatever they want to. Yes, I know, Madman, but again, you know what I mean, right? No, of course you don't, because I'm an idiot and don't know how to communicate. What I mean is, like, it would be great to play during the Mandalorian Wars. A lot of people do think the Force is a religion, even though it's really debatable. And it basically depends on the individual. If you could call a doctrine a religion, then yeah, okay, I guess that's valid. Okay. How many spikes do I have? I've got a couple spikes. Hokey religions are no match for a good blaster at your side. Oh, shoot. I've already given my thoughts on that Pandemonium, and I refuse to give them again. Basically, I'm not even remotely hyped about the new Battlefront, and I'm like 0% chance to purchase it as of right now. Yeah, fun fact, Star Wars is actually very inconsistent with what a credit is worth. Like, in some cases, it's mentioned that a few billion credits could bankrupt a world, even though that actually doesn't make any sense by standard comparison. So, whatever.
How'd you like that?
There.
How'd you like that? Time to rumble.
No, Django, I'm just clearing out everything before I go do the puzzle. Because I suck at that puzzle for some reason. Last time I did it the exact wrong way and got him killed by accident. Anyone remember that? I was like, okay, I'll fix you. Let me just turn these all to kill. Oh, shoot. Alright, I think we're out of combat for the moment. So let's go try to save this guy, shall we? So this is the guy we helped from earlier. Okay, so I need to switch them all to red, not green. Hey, Sean. Yeah, very easy puzzle. Run, be free, and you totally won't die in about an hour. Okay, maybe you will. I'd just like to say I'm glad there's no weight limit in this game. Just as an aside. I think a couple books started talking about the Sand People, but yeah, this is the first one where we really get to see their side of things, I think? Maybe I shouldn't say that, because I feel like there's actually a book that really went into the Sand People before this. Hey Zeiss, welcome back. You have a post waiting for you on the forum, just a heads up. You know, Reach, that would have actually helped, wouldn't it, when we get to that section? I have not yet played Rogue or Unity. No. I do plan on it, it's just not on the immediacy thing. And by the way, I plan on turning over the Pearl to get more lore. Because of course I do. Let's see, do I want an item that makes me stronger or more story? Duh!
There, take that.
If I could write a book about Star Wars? Man, I have no idea. It's just there's way too many stories I could tell about that. Let's refine the question. Do you guys think I should write a story in the EU or the AU? Ah! And Zeiss immediately makes this evil. Like this, I knew that was coming. The moment Zeiss shows up, it's like, man, we're gonna go dark side real soon here. Hang on, let me pull up. Let me pull up this sucker so I could keep track of all these things, which is somewhere here. Hang on. I accidentally closed it. Well, that's fine. I got it bookmarked. Bzzz. Yeah, let's do a poll. Poll open EU or AU. There, bam. Voted up. 1 is EU, 2 is AU, and yeah, it's dark side. What a shock! Thank you, Zeiss. Let's find the dark side counter, which is right here. We are now suddenly hideously evil. We will kill everything and everyone. We will create a monument to non-existence.
How'd you like that?
Although we don't have a chance to be evil for a little bit, I don't think. The EU is Star Wars. The AU is the new Star Wars canon that's just been established. Yes, Zeiss, that is correct. Uh-oh. Hang on. What did Tai-2 just do? Oh my gosh, Tai-2 has balanced the scales. So now we're back to spinning. That's what we're back to. There. Depends on how you define things, and I don't like getting into definition discussions modern, because when you get down to it, all discussions about definitions are flawed, because there is no such thing as a static discussion. Like, seriously, there is no such thing. Or not a static discussion, a static definition, that's what I meant to say. Gee, I think some people want me to write in the EU, not the AU. What a frickin' shock. Okay, where is... And that Wraith just pushed it over to light side as well, so, we're back up to 7. Okay, well, we won't be hideously evil right now, but don't worry, guys. I'm sure Zeiss knows to wait until the next time at which we're at a dark side point, and then he'll vote for the dark side. Hang on, let's level her really quick. I don't think we have a specific section for it yet, Hunter. But we will. It's been requested. I just don't think I've set it up yet. Because I'm stupid. Gotta say it right.
What?
Okay, so hang on. What level am I? I am right now level 6. Repair, persuade. The rest don't matter. I guess we'll go with that. And that's it. That sounds terrible, Madman. That sounds really, really depressing. Hey, look, it's an idiot.
Who dares to break my meditation? You will pay for interrupting my... Wait. I sense the Force is strong with you. Very strong. Who would have thought a Force adept could be found on this insignificant planet? But your talent is no match for a disciple of the dark side.
Wow, this guy is just pathetic. This reminds me of those kids and like they're on the ground. It's like, I've found the ultimate power in the universe, and they hold up a stick. You know, behold, no one can defeat me now, because I'm not interfering yet, fearsome, and I'm just doing my usual and ignoring it. The moment anyone crosses the line, I'm going to shut down the religious debate. But anybody who... So far, nobody's crossed the line, so I haven't shut it down yet. I was going to answer... Modern Buddy asked, who would I hire to write a new Star Wars RPG? Obsidian would be my answer a couple months ago, but then Avalone, or however the hell you pronounce his name, left. So now I'm not so sure. So now I'm thinking that, man, I don't know. I give up. Nobody writes it. Nobody writes it at all. Turn away from the dark side. It will lead you to anything but destruction. You Sith must be brought to judgment for all the blood you have spilled. Or, I'm going to enjoy gutting... God damn it, Zeiss. Damn it, Zeiss. Okay. You didn't put a comment. What's it towards? What's it towards, man? I just realized I haven't eaten breakfast. I really should do that before I get too much further. Timothy Zahn gets hired at Obsidian. My first reaction, yeah! Okay, so 80 towards Tor. Yikes, thank you very much. What Thank you very much, Zeiss. You are, as ever, awesome. That's the only thing you're going to donate the whole thing, right? Right, okay, we're good. So, 4. God, okay, so that's where the Tor total is at. And so that's going to go... why would I buy shoes? I'm not a woman. It's a joke. Don't take it too seriously. Over here. Okay. I'm going to enjoy gutting you!
Ah, yes. Feed the hatred and anger within yourself. Call upon the power of the dark side. But not even that can save you now.
Some people have voted against Tor, yes, Shiryu.
My master will surely reward me with my lightsaber once I kill you.
That's how pathetic this guy is. This guy, who was installed as governor over Taris in the Sith occupation, does not even have a freaking lightsaber. You are pathetic, sir. Of course, he also has stun, and I hate stuns. Like, I really hate stuns. Really hate stuns.
Let's go!
Thanks for killing that guy for me. Of course we're playing KoTOR 2 first. Why wouldn't I? That makes no sense. Yes, I have killed this innocent man, and now I will kill Bastila, and then I will kill Karth, and then I will kill Zeiss, and then I will kill myself. Because my name is Malik. Oh, I thought that was going to be like here. Oh well. I will never loot the... Okay, fine. God, what is with you guys in looting? What is this? An RPG? I want these antidote kits out of my inventory, like, right now. Get out of my... I hate how it defaults to the antidote kit. So this is what I usually do. I just burn them all up, get them out of my freaking thing. I talked about that earlier, Nerozaz. Basically, in KoTOR 1, thank you. There we go. In KoTOR 1, there's no real gray. There's just I'm evil or I am good. KoTOR 2 has a lot more gray options, so we'll actually be being a lot more gray when we get to KoTOR 2. There, I took your credits. It would take time, Schmeidolf. I'd rather just inject myself over it. Okay, let's go ahead and see what those donations just were. Omni has donated $1 towards playing Tor. Thanks, Omni. And so that's... Hang on. And, oh, Caffeine also donated $1 towards playing Tor. You guys are awesome. So that would be... Well, which actually still leaves us Darkside. By that much.
Yes, what's on your mind?
Oh, hey, I didn't mean to talk to you, Karth. I was just spinning. Seriously, those dollars are awesome. Oh. Yes, everyone must use the antidotes. Uh-oh. No! Damn it, Zeiss. I told you can't donate any... Well, I didn't say that, but I assumed that you couldn't donate anymore. Yes, I rescued the Duros, so I can't be evil and kill him. Spit. Revan meditates by spinning. That's how he keeps his focus, you know, his power. Revan is such a great and wonderful tactician, leader, warrior, because he spins. Yeah. So I need to go this way now. Donate towards Grey basically means donating against whatever it's at. Although, again, that's not really a thing in KoTOR 2. Because, Madmen, we're not just evil. We're stupid evil! Because this is KoTOR 1. We are Malik's side of the Force, as I like to call it. Yes, I'm a whirling dervish. You're close, Lilu. You're not on accuracy, but you are close. So you're doing pretty good there. Do you have a piece of paper, too? I'm just curious. Come on, I need to get... You know what? Hang on. I need to get somewhere so I can be evil really quick. Come on, guys. Let's go be evil. Whoa, whoa. Too fast, too fast. Yes, yes. Wait, I have to be... God damn it, fine. Lower Cantina. Good thing I put turbo on. I did not actually know that, Loki. Really, I didn't. I don't think anybody actually wants me to do the horribly, hideously evil thing with mission. The evil ending is different, but I've never met anyone who actually is like, yes! Force mission's best friend to murder her with her bare hands! I mean, really, I've never met anyone who said that, which, now that I've said that, there's going to be like 15 people in chat and are like, I want you to do that! Because that's how that normally goes. None of the above, Pandemonium. Kreia is unique. She is very anti... Hey, Zagea. What is up? And yes, this game, I feel, has aged pretty well. Oh my god, no! We're back to the light side! I mean, that's a good thing. I don't have any options to be evil just yet. I will as soon as we get to the slaves. There you go, see? Tai2 said it. Thank you for being with it. Wessel said it. Appreciate it, guys.
Neither of us is getting off this planet unless we work together. Now, I know the Sith military base had a break-in. And I know it was you. I know you've got those departure codes I need. So what do you say? We join forces, and I can get you inside Davik's base. Right to the Ebon Hawk. We can go right now.
Then let's do it.
Davik's always looking to recruit new talent. I'll tell him how you won that swoop race. Mention that you're interested in working for the exchange. I'll say I brought you in so he could check you out. He'll have you stay at his estate for a couple of days while he runs some background checks on you. That's standard procedure.
This is too risky. We should find another way.
You got another plan, sister? Or are you just objecting because you didn't think of it?
No, I don't have another plan. I would rather not place my life in your hands, however.
I can say the same about you. That makes us even. Fortunately, we both want to get off this rock, right? While Davik's checking you out, we steal the Ebon Hawk and escape Taris. Come on. I've got an airspeeder nearby to take us to Davik's estate. The sooner we're off Taris, the better.
All I gotta say, Reach Network is hashtag not evil. Yeah, I haven't actually had a chance to do a lot of evil things, because basically all the evil actions tend to be in cutscenes, and most people donate when I'm out of cutscenes, so that's why I've been rushing. It's like, I gotta do something evil, quick! And I tried really hard to sell the Rakghoul serum to Zax, but I never made it. I never actually made it to Zax. I tried so hard to get there. Let's bring... I've already had her dialogues, and he doesn't have one. Yeah, I guess we'll just bring Bastila. Ah, here's the cutscene I've been waiting for. We'll see, Pandemonium, when we get there. So, okay. I'm a huge ship guy. I really am. I hate the style of these ships. I really hate the style of these ships. They look dorky and dumb and not intimidating at all to me. Just my opinion. I know they were trying. Now, that being said, I know they were trying for a ship that still has the Imperial aesthetic to it, but doesn't actually look like a Star Destroyer. I get that. But I just do not like that ship at all. Now I'm going to shut up because this is a good cutscene. And also, rest in peace.
You summoned me, Lord Malik.
The search for Bastila is taking too long. We cannot risk her escaping Taris. Destroy the entire planet.
The entire planet, Lord Malik. But there are billions of people on Taris. We'd be slaughtering countless innocent civilians, not to mention our own men still on the surface.
Your predecessor once made the mistake of questioning my orders, Admiral. Surely you are not so foolish as to make the same mistake.
Of course not, my Lord Malik. I will do as you command, but it will take several hours to position our fleet.
Then I suggest you begin immediately. You are dismissed, Admiral.
Yes, Lord Malik.
So I was about to ask the question Taito asked. Who the hell was Saul's predecessor? That's news to me. I thought Saul was always the head of the military under Malik. Does anyone know the answer to that? Because that's a hole in my knowledge. I like this guy's voice actor, by the way.
Most intriguing, if I do say so myself. You usually travel alone.
It's not like you to take on partners, Canderas. You're getting soft.
Watch yourself, Gallo. You may be the newest Cath hound in the pack, but you aren't top dog yet.
Enough. I won't have my top two men killing each other. That's not good business. I'm sure Canderas has an explanation as to why he's not working solo anymore.
This is a special case, Davik. I ran into someone the Exchange might want to recruit. You may have heard something of their exploits already.
Ah, yes. Now I recognize your companion. The rider who won the big swoop race. Very impressive, as was your display in the rather heated battle afterwards.
It was Admiral Zalkoris vas Quib Quib. I actually, okay, so apparently the wiki doesn't even answer it. Wow, so that isn't just a hole in my knowledge, it's a hole in the story. That doesn't actually make sense. Given everything we know about Saul, it would make more sense for Saul to be the guy who was in charge. However, I like the idea. I really do. Think of it this way. Saul joins Revan, and Revan looks at Saul and says, no, you're too evil, and puts someone else in charge of underneath him under the military side of things, right? And so that person is intelligent and brilliant and pragmatic and all the things that Revan wants, right? Then Revan is removed from power, and Malik is put in charge. And I could just picture, like, the first thing Malik tells this brilliant admiral to do, the brilliant admiral says, well, that's dumb. And then Malik kills him, and then Saul gets put in charge command. Because that would actually be very in keeping in character with Revan, with Saul, and with Malik. That would actually fit all the pieces very well there. So, shrug. What am I doing? Good to meet you, Davik. My name's Revan.
You know, Canderas was right. The Exchange is always looking for new talent. You could have a bright future with our organization. With the recommendation from Canderas and a thorough background check, you could become part of the Exchange. Many would kill to prove themselves worthy of this honor.
As an aside, that's why I call it stupid evil, Madman. There's a difference. Because it's more emphasis on the stupid. By the way, Requiescat in pace, Robin Socks. He was an amazing gentleman, and it sucks that he's gone.
Come with me. I will give you a tour of my operations. I'm certain you'll be most impressed.
Oh, you're right, Pandemonium. Sorry.
There she is, the Ebonhawk.
Hello, Ebonhawk.
Enjoy the fastest ship in the Outer Rim. Note the state-of-the-art security system I've had installed to protect her. The shields are completely impregnable. Nobody can get past them without the codes to try and steal my baby. Unfortunately, the Sith military blockade has grounded my vessel. The Ebonhawk can outrun any vessel in the galaxy. But even she isn't fast enough to avoid the auto-targeting laser cannons of the orbiting Sith fleet. I am, of course...
And that right there is exactly why the Millennium Falcon's the better ship, by the way.
So that I may come and go as I please. However, progress has been slow. But we should continue our tour.
These will be your accommodations. The slave quarters are just down the hall. If you need anything during your stay, food, a massage, feel free to call upon their services. If all goes well with your background check, you will be invited to join the exchange. I'd advise you to accept the offer when it comes, or suffer the dire consequences of refusal. You will stay in these rooms as my guest for the next few days. I will not accept no for an answer. Feel free to visit the slave quarters at any time during your stay. I must warn you that if you are found anywhere outside the guest wing during your stay, or if you bother my other guests, my security forces will deal with you most harshly. I will return after the investigation into your background is complete. Until then, make yourself comfortable. Come, Callum. Let us leave our guests in peace.
By the way, I do like the Ebon Hawk. I just like the Falcon a little bit better. So it looks like
we're inside. Now all we have to do is figure out a way to get past the Ebon Hawk security system, and we can get the rest of your group off this planet. No sense waiting around here, though. The sooner we get off Taris, the better.
Sure, a good thing that Malik decided to bombard the entire planet into oblivion as quickly as possible, because that actually is a real hassle of a thing to do to get all the fleet set up, and so they've got several hours to make this work out. Yeah, I'd love that. Okay, so apparently 3 people want me to do a story in the AU. You got it! Here's my AU story. A wormhole opens and Spock comes out of it, and then the AU is connected to the EU, and everyone evacuates the AU into the EU. Two things to talk about really quick here. First of all, I've already given my thoughts on the Malik cutscene. I don't really actually, I could do that, Taitu. I'd be terrible at it, but I could do it. Although when I do real voice acting, I usually do a couple of takes and practice my voices beforehand. But anyways, yes, maybe you made the ruler of nothing, Omni. Where was I? Okay, so one of the things that always caught me about Davik's commentary there is he says the slave quarters are down the hall, and he says it extremely casually and extremely normally, because it's completely normal to just go and use a slave. I mean, that's what a slave is, right? It is a tool, not a person, after all. And I just comment on that because it again talks... I've already discussed this in more detail earlier about how Taris is completely screwed up and the Republic is completely screwed up. But no matter how I think about that, the idea of just casually tossing, oh, the slave quarters are down the hall, whatever you need, just go ahead and go... That just... Ugh, that's horrible. And the mere fact that he says that like that is rather indicative. But again, the point is not that... it is not the horribleness, but the casualness. That slavery is so commonplace, so normal, that it doesn't even warrant a raised eyebrow. Notice nobody actually comments on the slave thing. It's just, yep, slaves, yep, whatever. It's normal, right? But I digress. Let's get out of here. This is... Whoa, we still have turbo on. Let's turn that off. Okay. I don't remember how to get through. I remember having a hell of a time doing this when I had, like 1 health left. Do you remember that? When I was going through here last time for the test run and I had 1 health and... Whoa! Well, okay, we've already... Whatever. Loot what, fool? There's no loot here.
Let's make this quick.
Battle Shogun.
I'm pretty sure the Jedi enjoy smooth jazz. Pretty sure. Yeah, there is the Galactic Alliance thing. Personally, Dragon Cat, as I said before, I actually talked about this earlier. It's always interpretive as to how strong or how skilled or how good someone is. I've always felt Calo Nord was someone who was good for the small pool. He's good on a planetary level, basically. So in other words, comparing him to Cad or to Fett, like Cad's up here and Fett's up here and Calo's like way down. You can't even see my hand. It's way down here. That's always been my opinion of Calo Nord. Very low tier, basically. Oh, bounty hunter. I was just looking for the slave quarters. Why are you attacking me? Slavery's evil, how dare you? Well, that's a valid point, but damn it, you're the one who has the slaves. 7, I believe, Django? It's 7 or 8, because I'm pretty sure I'm at the point where I'm going to stop taking scoundrel levels, like, now. Here, I'll just look really quick. Yep, 7. I was right. Yes, I am aware, Preacher. Damn it. We gotta kill the spice producers, because they're evil too, apparently. I mean, I guess they are shooting at me. So that's valid. I don't even want anything gross. My back hurts. I really did want a massage. Ow, ow. Gallo Nord. No, he's not even that good, Taito. We're just gonna go everywhere at this point. Why is that, Django? Explain to me. Why? Also, Dune, what is it, 50th anniversary now? It was mentioned to me yesterday. We will find these guys, I swear. We will find the slavers. Or slaves. I guess we're looking for the slaves, specifically. I like how he has a throne room, by the way. It's very indicative of the mindset of Davik. Hey, Sparta. The fact that he actually has something called a throne room. And a throne. Look at this. This is Davik's throne. Look at this. I just want to... I can't do an Italian accent. I give up. I'm not even going to try. Not even going to try.
No problem. Hey! What's the idea of barging in here? Get out of here or I'll call the guards.
Pudu. Tunirama na prakadonko serki. Chupapanki.
Hey, baby, wait. I wasn't actually going... Damn it! Okay, great. You just scared off my date for the night. So you better explain yourself before I lose my temper and call
Oh my god, did you see that? She, like, cloaked right in front of him. I didn't know Twi'leks had the ability to fade into existence. That's amazing. Are we dark side right now? Damn it, we're light side. Anyways, what was I going to say? I was going to answer a question. Oh, spice. Someone was asking about spice. There's actually several answers for that, but the most common thing, which is referred to as glitter stim, is something that's a mood and sensory enhancer device that actually is not chemically addictive, even though it is psychologically addictive. And so it also makes it it makes you much more receptive to becoming chemically addicted to other drugs. It is actually a literal gateway drug in several ways. So that's glitter stim in a nutshell. It also comes from spiders. Really, really large, deadly, horrible spiders. Taitu, that's debatable because Starfleet can make that with this, and they needed to make something that drew from a star to accomplish it. So the Rakata were still definitely technologically inferior in that field to the Federation. However, it is nevertheless a huge and massively impressive accomplishment that, to my knowledge, is only replicated once else wherever in the Star Wars mythos with the World Devastators, and even those could only punch out, automated things like droids and droid fighters and other droid things. So, yeah. Man, you and your flurry build, I swear, Django. Okay, I didn't think about it that way, so you're correct. Okay, so... real quick, yeah, I'm sorry, the one other thing I want to talk about, someone in chat said this too, but this is worth commentary. So this gentleman is like, I had a date. His date was a slave he dragged over to his quarters for the night. That's so pathetic, I don't even feel like commenting on it. So whatever, we're not evil right now, so... time has come. Oh, hang on, Zeiss says he donated. We're going to wait patiently. We'll actually check it here. Aha! $7 towards dark side. I see it right there. Bzz, bzz. Yes! Yes! Die, you bastard!
You should have picked an easier target. By the time the guards show up, they're gonna have to take you out of here in pieces.
Wait, I didn't get dark side for that? Seriously? Come on! He just... Well, okay, whatever. That's fine with me, because this man deserves so badly to die. God. Oh, hey, guards. I'll kill them, too. See, I think of this as being merciful. I could let these people die a horrible, crushing death underneath the horrors of the entire city being destroyed. Or, I could kill them mercifully right now with my sword. See? So, you know, I'm being a good guy here. If I think about it. Oh, hang on, there's a Rhodian nearby. Hang on, where is he? Where is he? Is he in here?
No problem. Got it.
Not in there. Gotta find him. Nope. Yeah, but seriously, can you imagine what it would be like? How many people do you think in Taris died from suffocation or slow blood loss underneath the rubble? Think about that. Time to die, Bugface. My perspective on the Force Ghost thing has always been that a particular Force user becomes so in tune with the living Force to the point where they lack the ability to be removed from the equation. That's a Rancor head, for lack of a better way to put it. In other words, they keep going because their life energy, their life force, their soul, whatever you want to call it, basically becomes merged into and with the living force, rather, you know, the actual energy source, and ergo they go on as Force Ghosts. Titans, I've already answered this like 50 times. KoTOR 1 does not have gray. It has stupid evil and good. Oh god, I really don't want to be Darkseid when we do the Dantooine investigation quest, because that would bug the crap out of me. But I'll do it. I am your dancing monkey. Proudly so. Oh, wow. Okay, so that puts us at... So that's 30 dark, and then 2 light, which is about to come in from Taitu. Yeah, there it is. Thank you, both of you, by the way. 30... so... 29, that's where we're at. God, I can do basic math, I swear. I actually used to be really good at math. So now we are much more evil! Hi, slaves. Listen.
Welcome to the slave quarters, Master. Here we have succulent fruits and berries to tempt your palate, as well as luxurious baths to soothe your aches and pains.
Now this is my kind of place.
Would you like a relaxing massage? Whatever your desire, we are here to serve.
I don't want to do this. Well, okay, it looks like I can't kill them or whatever. But we are evil. No, I'm kidding. I literally refuse to use a slave. That is against my everything.
Of course. Return whenever you wish to partake of what is offered here. We exist only to serve you.
Leaving now. Leaving now. No, I'm sorry, guys. No, absolutely not. I will save a dark side option till later to make up for it. I will. I will do something dark side later, but I cannot do a slavery thing. It's against my everything. I cannot do slavery. It is like one of my most... It's one of the things that is one of the biggest, closest things towards the antithesis of who and what I am as a living being. Sorry, guys. Wow, Lurker. Okay, well, we're now good again, although we don't have the option. I said I'd save a dark side option, and I will. I will. Because I exist to be your dancing monkey. So, I'm trying to think, what is the next dark side option I'll have? I think it's actually when I want to get to, Dantooine. It's the next time I'll have the chance to be dark side. So, I'll be evil when we get to Dantooine, guys. Wait, there's the torture chamber. I can be evil in the torture chamber. That's right. Okay, we'll be evil in the torture chamber, guys. I think we can be evil there. Oh, that doesn't count, Django. That's barely evil. We gotta make it a good evil option, guys. I haven't actually done like anything evil yet. So in honor of all the evil donations that have come in, evil donations. We gotta make it a good evil. Absolutely, dog. I would kill everyone for dark side points.
The Force fights with me.
Smacking them in the face, Darth Pandemonium. Oh, I did not realize that, Django, no.
What?
It's okay, guys. The hero of the game has gotten up from tanking the floor. Okay. Hang on, let's save. I don't want to screw this up.
Thank you. You have no idea what it was like in that torture cage. I don't know how much more I could take before going mad.
Okay, now that you're free, give me my reward or I'll kill you myself.
Please don't hurt me. I'll tell you everything I know. Information worth a fortune. So just stay calm, okay? I'll tell you what I know. I used to be the pilot of the Ebonhawk, Davik's flagship. I know the codes to disable the security system protecting it. I'll load them onto your datapad now. You can use those codes to steal the Ebonhawk right out of its hangar. Sell it to the highest bidder, ransom it back to Davik. Whatever you do, you'll make thousands.
XP14Y639. It depends on what kind of build you're going for. Some people like to do this and then this. Like if you're going with a consular build, it's much more beneficial to put all your levels into consular, for example. If you're going Guardian, there's plenty of ways to do that. Django's build, which is like 8 Scoundrel and 12 Guardian, you know. There's plenty of different ways to do it. So it depends on the build you're going for. 5 towards Dark Side. Wait, that's not Dark Side. We need to be Malik. We need to be I like his expression right now. I am an idiot who deserves to kill everyone because you better come up with more than that.
I don't have anything else. Those Ebonhawk codes are worth a fortune. Isn't that enough? Please, just let me go.
Prepare. Wait, you can, Fu? How do you get dark side points here?
Questions? What?
Give me the dark side of the... Okay, we're done.
We got what we came for.
You core slime. I didn't survive through all that torture just to let you kill me.
So yeah, we did the loop there a bit, and now we're evil just for you guys. Yeah, we're gonna level really quick. Where's my other odd? Oh, there it is, strength. Yes, I do, Taito, and yes, it's awesome. Everything is awesome there. Because I did the loop, Every time you say, you know, oh, I will kill you, and then you could loop the chat. Oh, I will kill you. You can loop the chat. You get more and more and more and more dark side points. That I was doing that on purpose to shove myself into the dark side. In honor of all the, as I said, donation. Where am I putting this one, Django? Because I got everything else that I know to get. I guess I could get improved toughness? Weapon focus melee. I'm not getting improved flurry. Nobody uses flurry. I mean, really? Oh, fine. God, you and your flurry fetish, man. There. Oh, yep, that healed me. I think Rebels is good for the same reason Clone Wars is good, the series. They're both made by people who know what they were doing, television-wise. I don't remember the infinite loops on Dantooine. I remember this one. This is like the only one I know.
No problem.
How dare you invade my chambers? How rude! I am a personal guest of Davik himself. I left specific instructions that you guards were not to disturb me until morning. How can Davik expect me to invest in his ventures with this kind of incompetence on display? I should summon the other guards and report you to your commanding officer.
Touch that alarm, and you're a dead man.
What? How dare you speak to me like that? I could ask Davik to have you flayed alive for such insolence.
That's it. Time for you to die.
What? Help! Assassins! Guards! Help!
He's a noble, guys. He might be dangerous. Wow, he lived through a hit. I'm actually surprised by that. Yes, I can, Taito. In many ways. Although I won't be doing that in KoTOR 2 because it gets really buggy when you do that in KoTOR 2. Like, I think I've told you guys about the bug I had in KoTOR 2. For those of you who don't know, your influence affects their personality. So, like, sometimes they'll be super clean, but if you go too much to the dark side, they'll get all dark side influence stuff like this, all over the the crooked and corrupted face and stuff. So, like, I would be talking to someone, and I'm talking to Atten Rand, for example, and he talks to me, and then the camera cuts away to me, and it comes back to him, and he's suddenly superly evil, dark side face, and then it cuts away, and then he's back to normal. And it just kept doing this. It was really, really weird. I'm still not 100% sure why that was happening. Hey, that whimpering noble is a hero to Malik. So then Malik wins, and then Vishay comes over and says, ha ha ha, that's cute. Malik thinks it's people.
Damn those Sith, they're bombing the whole planet. I knew they'd turn on us sooner or... Wow, look what we got here. Thieves in a hangar. So, you figured you'd just steal my ship for your getaway and leave me high and dry while the Sith turn the planet into dust? Sorry, but that ain't gonna happen.
I like this voice actor, but that line sounds weird. Also, why has Kayla Nord been looking forward to this for a long time? Anyone wonder about that?
They're dropping will kill us all.
Well, I'm here to talk about it, because that's my job. I've always felt that Kayla Nord is pathetic, right? This is one of the reasons why. I've been looking forward to this for a long time. Keep in mind, we've only been on this planet for a few days at this point in time. Now, yes, he's talking about Canderas. We already know that. But we also know Canderas is also a fairly new recruit to this situation. So the entire point I'm trying to make here is that Kayla Nord is so pathetic that for him, a long time is like a few months or a couple of years, which is, again, pathetic. That he's been looking forward to taking down Canderas for a long time. It just speaks to how small-minded he is.
You may have me outnumbered and outgunned, but if I'm going down, I'm taking all of you with me. This thermal detonator will blow us all to bits.
So why didn't he let it go? Because a thermal detonator will actually do a ridiculous amount of damage.
Damn those Sith. They'll bring this whole hangar down around our ears.
Whatever. I guess I'll loot. Sigh. One thing I've always wondered, how does Kalo escape from this? Like, I've always wondered that. I don't believe there's ever an explanation for how it happens. He just escapes, and it's weird. I'm just curious if anybody else has ever wondered about that, because it's like, well, you know. Actually, I probably should put that on. Not you. You.
Yes?
And now, my absolute least favorite part about all of KoTOR.
Let's get this ship fired up. We'll pick up the rest of your friends and then we'll have to get off this planet.
Seriously. Cannot stand the sequence that's coming up. Lol, Django. Maybe that's why I dislike him so much, Pandemonium.
Taris is defenseless against our assault, Lord Malik. They are offering no resistance. The city is in ruins.
Resume the bombardment, Commander. Wipe this pathetic planet from the face of the galaxy.
Of course, Reach. Isn't that logical? Yeah, I didn't find that out until doing the test run, Dios. One of my viewers told me. I was like, oh, this is so much better. I'm going to demonstrate why using the mouse controls kind of sucks for this. Ah! Evil me is very excited that Taris is being destroyed. And every single person we just spent the last 10, 12 hours helping, saving, learning, and growing just died. Isn't that great?
Plot a course for Dantooine. There's a Jedi enclave there where we can find refuge.
Incoming fighters.
Quickly, to the gun turrets. You have to hold the Sith fighters off until we get those hyperspace coordinates punched in.
You know, funnily enough, Lurker, I actually wouldn't be surprised by that at all. He is an exceptionally petty individual. So, this is how this works with the mouse. You see how this works? I'm turning around. And I hate this with the mouse. So, oh my god. Yeah. Seriously, this is like the full range of motion. Do you see this? Now, of course, this is with the keyboard. So, for like the first time ever, the keyboard's actually better than using the mouse for a turret section, which is just bizarre. Oh god, more donations! Yeah. I still hate these, though. They're dumb, boring, stupid. They take too long, and you have to do them at random later on, and it just gets old. Well, he is very stupid, Cashel. So we're about to find out how we're going to be when we get to Dantooine. Missing.
Dantooine.
Oh, there we go.
Seems like a lifetime since I last set foot on her surface. But in truth, it's only been a few months. We should be safe from Malik here. For now, at least.
Safe? You saw what his fleet did to Taris. There wasn't a building over 2 stories high left standing. They turned the planet into one big pile of rubble.
Even the Sith would think twice before attacking Dantooine. There are many Jedi here, including several of the most powerful Masters of the Order. There is great strength within this place.
Actually, Lurker, I should be. It should still be installed, but since I'm using a different operating system hard drive, I'm not sure if that's still true. I'll have to check.
We can't just keep running. Malik will find us eventually. We need to regroup. We need a plan. We can get supplies here and recuperate. The Academy is a place of mental and spiritual healing. Something we could all use after what we've been through.
Maybe you're right. It isn't easy to witness the annihilation of an entire planet. I know Mission must be taking it pretty hard.
She will find a way to come to terms with her grief. She's stronger than she appears. We just need to give her time. Now I must go speak with the Council. I need their advice on recent developments. After I've met with them, I will meet you outside the ship.
Okay, Lurker. Well then, yes, we should have the mod still on. Yeah, I agree, Taitu. That's why I agreed with Karth. This is gorgeous, by the way, I just want to say. This is our first look at Dantooine ever, if I'm not mistaken. Our first visual representation of it. And it is a gorgeous planet. It's a great place to start the game off, really. You know, after Taris, obviously.
I've spoken briefly with the Council. They request an audience with you. We should go at once.
An audience with the Jedi Council? It's pretty unusual for someone who isn't even a Jedi. What's this about, Bastila?
I'm sorry, Karth, but I cannot tell you. All I ask is that you trust in the Force and the wisdom of the Council.
Well, I don't like to I'm not looking to get you in any trouble with the Jedi Masters. We'll do things your way for a while.
Come, they're expecting us. I will lead you to the Council chambers.
Wow. We must trust in the wisdom of the Force, and the wisdom of the Jedi Council, who are of course wise and correct because they have the Force. And how could you be wrong with the Force? So, you know. By the way, XP, thank you for your consideration about spoilers, but since this is a Lorerun, I mean, we've already talked about Tor and KoTOR 2. We've just expanded on lore. There's spoilers everywhere is what I'm trying to say, so I'm not holding back at all during a Lorerun. Now let's catch up to our donations we just got here. Okay, so the last one... hang on, what time is it? 1:25. So those came in, so this one. So 10 towards light and 5, so 5 towards light, which makes us light side 1 again. All right, let's go get Calrissian's belt, which is somewhere around here. I don't know where it is at all. I'm just guessing with complete guesswork. Calrissian is among my favorite characters from the original trilogy. Ah, here it is. What do you mean, XP? That's the one I hate the most. Oh, well, okay. Revan was a very enigmatic individual with most people had not actually seen his face even before he put on the mask. And then Revan put on the mask and basically kept it on all the time. So very, very few people actually knew what Revan looked like. Now, some of the people here on Dantooine did. For example, most of the Jedi Masters who actually had worked with him and trained him, they recognized Revan on sight. But someone like, for example, Bastila, if she hadn't actually seen Revan and taken his mask off, it's very likely Bastila would not have actually recognized Revan, because he didn't actually have that famous of a face, he had that famous of a name. Jolie recognizes him too, that's another one. So there are a few people who recognize Revan, but it's literally the exceptions. There's only a handful of people across everywhere that know whom Revan actually looks like, Malik being another one actually, obviously. So that's how that works. I want Calrissian's utility belt. This is awesome, by the way. Computer use +3, demolitions +3, repair +3, security +3. Yeah, this is nice. XP, I talked about this earlier, but to summarize in brief, the Jedi are trying to turn you to the light side and use you as a lever in order to enhance their own particular goals. There's nothing good about what they're trying to do at all. They believe they're doing good. They believe that they're doing what is right because the more light side Jedi, the better. But they basically brainwash you to turn you light side because they want you to be yours. They're theirs, excuse me. Yes, buy. This item costs more than 400 credits. Yeah, no crap. By the way, 3,000 credits for that monster. But it's worth it. Oh, yes. He hasn't been in exile that long, British. As previously mentioned. But we'll talk about that when we get to Jolie. Siran, Baronessa, enjoy the food. I need to eat soon, so I'm probably going to pause now. Actually, this is probably a good, pretty good pause point. Go ahead. I hate that. Kachi. No, I'm just saying the Jedi are stupid, madman. Not even evil, they're just stupid. Kachi. Ah, he's still saying it. That is true, Sterlings. I think I'm stupid. Spoiler alert, I am actually stupid. So this is hilarious what's about to happen. Some people say why I'm so hard on the Light Jedi.
Padawan, why are you not wearing the customary robes of the Jedi? Do you mock the honor traditions of our order?
Yeah, so in case you're not catching that, this is probably, I could probably summarize everything that pisses me off about the Jedi orders, plural, because there's several, across the eras, in one sentence, and it was just summarized by that girl right there. It is tradition that matters to the Jedi Order. Not good, not bad, not progress, not accomplishment, not anything, not merit. Tradition. I am not exactly what you would call a traditionalist mindset person. So I think, like, for example, if it's our tradition to do something and it works 99% of the time, that's great. But that other 1% of the time, we shouldn't follow the tradition because it doesn't fit that. I mean, makes sense, right? So, yeah, the idea here is that their emphasis, no religion in my channel, the emphasis on the focus of tradition as opposed to actually doing anything, that just irritates the unholy crap out of me. I believe you are mistaken. I am not a Padawan. I am Revan.
Bastila. I have heard of her.
No, Revan. That's my name.
Already mastered the art of battle meditation. Remarkable in one so young. Though I've heard she has a foolish pride in her own talents. But as for you, you claim you are not a Padawan? I find this hard to believe. The Force is strong within you. I can feel its presence. If this is some type of jest, it is in very poor taste. The Jedi Order is not a subject for jokes.
I disagree!
Please forgive the abruptness with which I first greeted you. It was harsh and perhaps unfair. My master often warns me that I must learn to control my emotions. I see I have much left to learn. I wish you a pleasant
I must follow our traditions even more! God damn, woman, really? I'd be a terrible light Jedi. I would get kicked out of the order in like 5 seconds. I'd be like, hey guys, what's up? Whoa, no, why? No! And then it's out, it's done. Omega is correct, the Jedi are not funny. Kachi. Oh, sorry. That's going to become a thing. I hope Bowman shows up today so we can have him do a Kachi. Yeah, I know, Hunter. Isn't that great? I want to be a horrible person, but I must suppress it. That is the Jedi Order in a nutshell, though, to leave joking mode for a moment. They don't teach you to actually deal with emotions or to deal with negativity or to grow and learn and adapt and anything like that. They just teach you to lock everything up into a tiny little bottle and keep it over there. Yeah, the missing droid quest is creepy as crap, but also, I think, one of the better examples of no good answer amongst this stuff. Revan's, I'd have to look up Malik's full name. Give me a moment, I'll look it up right now. And do my best to pronounce it. Okay, Malik's original name was Alec... Oh, come on, give me his whole name. His whole name. There it is. Oh, I'm sorry. I guess that's just his village name. So I guess it's Alec of Squinquargasemis. That's my best effort. So Alec of So he took on the name Malik because malice. Again, I've talked about that earlier. I do need to go eat. You're right. I actually do need to eat. I'm starting to get hurt. You know, hunger pains, etc. But anyways, with regards to Pandemonium's question about Juhani, I think the whole point with that is to emphasize not that the Jedi Council was taking a risk, but that they weren't thinking about the risk because they're stupid. Remember, the whole problem, well, one of the, 5 problems with the Jedi Order dogma and the narrow dogmatic view of the Jedi is the fact that they like to be passive. Just let things unfold the way they should. And obviously they do things quite often. They do things actively here and there. But the idea is, I always feel like their idea was they were just like, we're going to go ahead and let them do whatever, and it'll work itself out. It'll be a good way for the two of them to come back to the light side of the Force together. Oh yeah, by the way, they called him Squint. Because Malik is just that pathetic. Seriously. But Revan... Now, he was called the Revanchist. I don't know how that's actually pronounced in proper. But I believe that Revanchist was actually his first known name. I could be wrong about that. Also, wow, Titans. Yeah, I don't see anything here. I honestly don't remember anything other than the Revanchist for earlier names for Revan. Yes, it is, actually, Kay. And yes, we all know that Malik was the original meatbag, because he's just that pathetic. It doesn't say anything in the wiki, and I don't remember anything other than the Revanchist, or Revanchist, or however you want to pronounce that. Blah, 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 blah. So, yeah, anyways. No, it was just always Revan. Which is funny, because, you know, revenge fits pretty well.
So you are the one who rescued Bastila. It is appropriate you are here.
Yes, I rescued
we have
her.
Been discussing your rather special case.
By the way, favorite Jedi Council member. Him.
With me, our Master Vrook,
least favorite.
Master Vandar. And of course, the chronicler of our academy, Master Dorak. Padawan Bastila, I am sure you are already familiar with.
So you've drawn me into your little trap. Now what? Actually, I'm going to ask about the council on Coruscant.
Yes, the High Council of the Jedi Order is on Coruscant, but we are the council in charge of the training facility here on Dantooine.
So what do you want from me?
Bastila tells us you are strong in the Force. We are considering you for Jedi training.
Now, it's worth noting that it's debatable if this was their plan all along. Because if you pay attention, they went ahead and basically shoved the Revan off with Bastila right off the bat, right? However, instead, we have a situation... okay, I'm sorry. I'm actually having trouble concentrating for some reason. Wave of pain, wave of pain. I do need to eat soon. Okay. The idea here is, did they always plan to go ahead and train you in the light side of the Force, for the reasons I already mentioned? Or were they actually planning on just having Revan following Bastila this whole time, and using Revan as just a normal guy, and hope for the best? I mentioned that, obviously, I adhere to the first line of thought, that the Jedi always plan to teach you in their dogmatic viewpoint of the light side, and want them to, you must follow the light side, you must follow us, we are the good people, blah, blah, blah. However, I like the second idea, because it's just stupid enough, and yet still reasonable sounding, that I could predict them saying it. Well, we have saved the Revan, we have, yes. Let us send him off on his way, and the Force will make things go as they should. I could just picture that. I really could. But I'm curious what you guys think. Nothing will give me greater honor than learning the ways of the Jedi. No, I'm not that stupid.
Do not worry. I am confident in your ability to learn.
Master Jar speaks out of turn, perhaps. We need indisputable proof of your strong affinity to the Force before we would even consider accepting you for training.
Proof? Surely the entire council can feel the strength of the Force within this man. And I've already related to you the events that took place on Taris.
Perhaps it was simple luck.
We both know there is no luck. There is only the Force. We all feel the power in Bastila's companion, though it is wild and untamed. Now that this power has begun to manifest itself, can we safely ignore it?
The Jedi training is long and difficult, even when working with a young and open mind. Teaching a child is hard. How much harder will it be for an adult to learn the ways of the Jedi?
I love how one of the options is lie. If you're paying attention, though, this conversation at first glance obviously makes sense, because, oh my god, I'm a Force sensitive. But on second playthrough, what they're actually seeing makes more sense. Or what they're actually saying. There's a great deal of subtext to their conversation. Vrook is not like, oh, we must prove if he's a Jedi, because obviously Vrook knows you have the Force. He knows you're Revan. Vrook doesn't want to train Revan in the light side. Not because it's, good or right or anything like that. He just thinks it's too dangerous to try and reawaken the Force within Revan. And I forget his name, but the Twi'lek gentleman, who's awesome, my favorite council member, he wants to go ahead and enforce the Jedi training on him, specifically because he feels that is the best way to deal with, as was mentioned, the raw, untamed Force going on with him. So that's the... Now, the other thing I want to point out, though, I like this implication here that Revan right now is not using the light side or the dark side. That they are, in fact, using the Force to some extent or another. Wah! Up to this point in time. And has been doing it in a completely raw manner. Ah! Oh my god! Bulb, someone else can explain it. There's way too many things in that question. That's like saying, what's the deal with this Luke Skywalker guy? I can't answer that easily. Anyways, I love the idea that Revan here, and I know this is just me reading into it. I know that. But I love the idea that Revan is using the living Force here. Not through a conduit of the light side, not through a conduit of the dark side, or the silver side, or the full color spectrum. He is literally tapping into the living Force directly. I love that idea, because it also makes so much more sense why these people, the Jedi Council, would probably be able to sense the amount of Force power thundering through them, and be afraid of it, because they can't identify it. They can't tell if it's light or dark. All they see is the Force, and they have no idea how to deal with that. Right? And so they're trying to enforce their way of thinking things onto you because, damn it, they're the ones... The light side is correct. They are correct. Therefore, they should do this to you, so you will also be correct, right? You see how I'm going with that? That's just a thought that I enjoy. Okay, let's see what this is going to do with all our donations. Okay, so we've got... Oh, hey, okay, so we are now... hideously evil. I've never actually lied in this section, like, ever, so I'm really curious what happens.
Traditionally, the Jedi do not accept adults for training.
Success at my lie.
There are exceptions in the history of our order, but you are a special case.
I agree with Master Dorak. Many of our own pupils are leaving the Jedi Order to follow the Sith teachings. We need recruits to stand against Malik. With Revan dead...
Are you certain Revan is truly dead? What if we undertake
Yes,
to train
Pandemonium.
this one and the Dark
I
Lord
absolutely
should
agree with
return?
We should discuss this matter more fully in private. Bastila, you and your companion must go. This is a matter for the Council alone.
As you wish, Master Vandar. We shall return to the Ebon Hawk and leave you to your deliberations.
Yeah, no, we're not. I got stuff to do. I gotta help find a sex droid. I gotta help, deal with the farmer situation. I gotta deal with the Romeo and Juliet situation. I got stuff to do, man. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you know what I'm talking about, Full Metal. Revan could have been... Honestly, Revan could have been what I actually call a Silver Jedi, a totally new way of looking at the Force. No, that is not Yoda. That's the other one. There's like two. Or no, I guess there's three.
Ah! The dark side is strong in this place. I can feel its power.
By the way, there's Alec, the pathetic.
Is this wise? The ancient Jedi sealed this archway. If we pass beyond this door, we can never go back. The Order will surely banish us.
Even when he was a Jedi, he was a weenie.
Can its power truly be worth the risk?
Seriously, he is such a weenie here. I'm sorry, but it is worth noting that Malik was never strong mentally or in terms of willpower or anything. He was always a follower. He was always someone who sat on the shoulders of others.
Stranger by the minute. First Bastila comes out looking like she saw a ghost, and now you. Well, Bastila did mention that you should go to the council chambers before she left. It's no doubt urgent, so you shouldn't keep them waiting. Well, I can't say I blame you. I haven't exactly been sleeping well myself. Here, I thought things would get better once we escaped Taris.
And yet, Raskor, I actually disagree with that. I don't think Alec was being the voice of reason. I think Alec was being the voice of cowardice. He was not saying, maybe we shouldn't do this, it's too dangerous. He wasn't saying, maybe we shouldn't do this because, it might lead to a bad end. He was saying, we shouldn't do this because then we might get kicked out of the Order. And I don't want to get kicked out of the Order. I know, Pandemonium. Tor actually... This is a good thing to bring up. Thank you for reminding me, Pandemonium. Tor actually contradicts KoTOR 1 and 2 in several ways, and that's not surprising, given the massive amount of time between the two and the fact that a lot of different writers worked on Tor, so they didn't actually keep everything contiguous. Tor makes a plot point of the fact that Emperor Vishay specifically sent them to get the Starforge. It told them where it was. It's like, here, go get the Starforge. And then in KoTOR, that's kind of not how that works at all. I'm just pointing it out to emphasize one of the reasons why Tor, even though it has some good stories to it, really shouldn't be considered part of canon long term, in my opinion. It really doesn't fit with Star Wars in more ways than one. It's still got some good story stuff, just,
No, she didn't. She didn't seem well, as I recall, and for that matter, neither do you. Are you all right? You got it.
Okay. So I want to talk to... hang on. I know I want Mission and Canderas, I believe. Ding. But, okay. I'm going to go ahead and pause because I said I'd eat, and then I kept playing, and then I said I'd eat, and then I kept playing. So, we'll be back in a few minutes after I have had some food, guys. Oh, wait, hang on. Did I check? Did I miss a donation? I did miss a donation! You're absolutely right. We will no longer be evil when we get back. Whee!